This is Review Your Gear Radio with your host Chris Husted and Jason Renner. Coming to you with the latest topics, reviews, and techniques for hunting and fishing in the Midwest. And here they are, Chris and Jason. Take it away, boys.
Review Your Gear Radio. Chris Husted.
I'm Jason Renner.
This is Season 4, Episode 23. It's the Fall Hunting and Fishing Rolls On podcast.
Keep rolling.
Little Limp Biscuit for you, right? That's right. So it's that time of year, first and foremost, where it happens every year. And for some reason, people always act surprised. It is the mid-season lull in the waterfall migration.
Well, you're talking most of the locals have got their butts froze off now.
It did get cold. I know a lot of birds in some areas did push out.
Out between that and the pressure. And then the northern birds just haven't quite completed that fill-in yet.
We do have gusts of 40 out of the northwest tomorrow.
And that front's coming out of Saskatchewan and Alberta.
So this will be interesting to see what it brings. I know we're going to see more snow geese. It won't be enough, in my opinion, to hunt, but it's going to be enough to get a guy excited anyways.
If we'll start bringing down some of those big groups of mallards out of Canada.
The biggest feeds that we know about in the state of North Dakota are usually late.
Oh, big Bubba.
Well,
Bubba
you know, there's places up in Saskatchewan that stay open really late.
Yeah.
And if they have no snow and the fields are bare and they got water, they don't leave.
Well, look at the mallards, how they pile up on Sakakawea.
But when do they get there?
Well, late. And then also, I mean, there's some that winter on Power Plant Lake.
Yep.
All year round.
Assuming that they can get at food.
Yeah.
I've even seen it where standing corn gets blizzarded in and they stand on the corn or on the snow and eat ears.
As long as they got access to food, they'll stick around.
That was an interesting hunt, but
what'd you guys make, snow forts?
It was bizarre. We were in like 3 feet of snow.
Oof.
But the heads were sticking out.
I suppose.
It was weird.
It
was one of those hunts. Now, I do expect, like I said, birds to come down. I know people in South Dakota have been saying they haven't seen a lot of birds, but I haven't talked to them in the last few days. That since it got cold.
I'm pretty sure. Well, it got cold all the way down to Sioux Falls that.
Well, they don't have a lot of water this year down there either.
Yeah.
I'm hearing it's pretty brutal.
So if there's nowhere for them to stop, besides big water would attract them still.
Right.
I mean, but your transitional sloughs and stuff like that probably are dry.
Sure. Well, I guess you have to go to Radio Tract to find out that answer otherwise, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So I don't normally have what's called an Amazon alert, but I thought it was worth noting. I was searching to get another layout chair, and that Alps Outdoors one was on sale for $151.
It's a good price.
It's a pretty good price. It's a 200. If you buy direct or buy anywhere, it's like $249. And so if you can get it for $150, that's not bad.
And I haven't hunted with mine. Taken it out of the box, I've laid in it. It's very. That's the one I was telling you about. That's almost feels like my anti-gravity chair at the lake. You know, it's almost a little too comfortable.
Right.
But it's a little bit higher up off the ground.
Well, it is. They do advertise that it keeps you off the ground. It's supposed to be zero gravity.
Yep.
I'm intrigued.
So I've so far I've liked it. I haven't hunted with it, but
I did historically. I've been using the Lucky Duck brand layout chairs.
Yeah.
Not bad. No frills, no thrills. It does have a Camo blanket with straps, double straps. I'm not going to lie. I cut those off every time. Literally, take a scissors and cut it off. I just don't. I'll never use it, so I just cut it off. There's no reason to tuck it
you're
under.
using it with your whites.
Right. I just for what it. Yeah, I'm only using it for hunting snows. So
yeah.
Don't need. And if I want to be in Camel like that, I'll just use a blind.
Yeah.
But if I was to give it a rating, I would say I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. The Lucky Duck. It is not too uncomfortable. Sometimes if you don't sit right, the bars in your back. But other than that, it's not too bad. It's got the cushion on the back of the head. I mean, I lay in those things for 12 hours, and I'm generally pretty happy. It does get a little worn over time, but it's generally, I mean, snow goose hunters are pretty hard on equipment.
There's a whole lot of layout chairs.
No, there really isn't.
I mean,
there really, really isn't. I do have an old, I'm sure you've seen that. What was that called? It's an old Final Approach.
Yeah, I've used that one before.
Yeah, for a backrest, and it's got the butt padding to keep you dry.
It's not terrible. I like it.
It's not. It's actually really great for big guys.
Yeah, because
it's generally just got a lot of support, pretty wide.
So did Final Approach that one belly under, right?
I think I've still seen signs of Kolpin hanging around, which was the people that owned it, I guess, last.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm not going to lie, it's hard to keep track. Some of these outdoor companies get bought and sold a lot.
Just seems like the world has kind of gone, well, especially with COVID. It just seems like a lot of these companies have changed hands pretty quickly.
Right.
It's hard to keep track, so.
Yeah, so let's talk Camo. Comparing Camo options for Waterfall. I actually make it easy for you, Mr. Runner.
Ooh.
I searched for Waterfall Camo patterns, and I have them all right in front of you. So there is a few I do want to note that I do like. First of all, I've always been a big fan of the Shadowgrass, original Shadowgrass. It is a little dark. It's got shades of darkness that make it a little bit different. I do like that one, the KW1 Big T Camo.
That one I like.
Yeah, that one's actually pretty legit. And then also there used to be one called Fall Flight.
Yep.
That was really good. I haven't seen that for years. And lastly, for the note is, since Sitka came out with obviously their Optifade, didn't take long Cabela's to come off with one that's quite similar, but it's not bad. They have the dry fall is not a bad Camo pattern. It's very similar. It's that 3D-ish.
Yeah, it's good pricing.
Yeah, they have $150 for bibs right now. 100% waterproof, windproof, breathable. $150, not bad.
No, not terrible at all.
I usually spend around $100 for my bibs, and they last barely a season. So I'm a moron when it comes to buying bibs. I don't know why. I need to get a new and a good pair.
So what you gonna buy?
Well, if I'm wearing whites, because most of my stuff is whites, I'm really looking at that, like I've talked about off mic, the bibs that are, there's an actual name for it. It's the Sitka brand. They're about $220, and yeah, but it's for under.
I know.
Typically when I'm wearing whites, I wear pants underneath, like sweatpants, and then like layers above. The problem is when you sit back, it can split. So this is like bibs under the whites that will keep from riding up.
And as much as we've not really, Sitka's got good gear.
They do. Gear. It's not cheap, but it's very good gear.
It's very good gear. Everybody we talk to that uses it
likes
absolutely loves it.
Right.
But it's just, for me, it's a price tag thing.
Now, is Camo really as important when you're saying like coat and pants? Because let's be honest, how often are you laying in stubble?
You're usually in a blind in stubble.
Exactly.
It's that those days have changed.
So, I mean, how important? It's almost like you really need to purchase for warmth over camouflage patterns for that.
Correct.
And when it comes to blinds, I've always been a huge fan of buying khaki, field khaki, brown, tan,
and just brush them out.
They get dirty, and I'm not afraid to use a dull, different colors of spray paint. You've seen I've painted mine.
Yeah.
Just to get the color you want. Sometimes that tan's a little dark, so a little bit of that light tan sprayed here and there.
I think anything you can do to change the way it looks.
Right. Break it up.
Yeah, break it up.
Whatever you can do to break it up. Also, since we're talking prices, and Sitka. Right now, direct through Sitka, they call it the Merino. It's the heavyweight half zip. That's probably one of their more popular items. It's half off.
$84.
$84.50. Free shipping to your door. So you can get a half zip to your door for $100 Sitka. I don't know if you're going to find that price for long.
No.
Especially direct. Pretty rare to find Sitka at that price.
I'm going to say this. Is this part of this early Christmas thing going on right now online?
I don't know, but it's got me.
Well, because Walmart today, I got a notice. They had a Blackstone, a 36-inch.
Yep.
For $197 today.
Really?
Yeah. It's $100 off. So, I mean...
That's pretty cheap for a Blackstone.
That's really cheap for a Blackstone. They sold out in like an hour and a half, supposedly, online.
Oh, no kidding.
But it was like this Christmas in October sale, early.
Sure.
Target's got one. Walmart's got one. Everybody's doing that now instead of the day after Thanksgiving. They're starting in October. So.
And as much as I am enjoying it and the free shipping and all that, boy, all these deals, it just puts a pinch on Main Street.
Yes, it does.
It's hard to compete. Someone's always going to be online cheaper.
But and the other thing, like we've always said, the pandemic has taught us to shop online.
Right.
Even the people that did before, they still do it, but now everybody knows how to do it. So that's the biggest thing we see. So.
Well, I got a link to that product at Sitka. So if you want to check out the half off, half zip, it's a lot of halves. Check it out. Renner, question for you, sir. How thick is the ice at Lake Audubon?
In the world we live in the drama-filled world, everybody's wondering, how thick is the ice on Lake Audubon?
0.
There was actually questions. I don't know if there was jokes the other day.
People were asking when it got cold? Yeah. I'm not surprised.
So, everybody, we're doing this jokingly, but it is kind of getting serious now to where the point where people are asking whether it's jokingly or not. You never know when people are serious or not. So,
sure.
But
so I've been talking with a lot of guys lately, and we're talking about scouting. It's getting tough for everybody. So the pinch is, it's getting tighter, I think, this year. Comparably, year over year, this 21 to 22, it's tougher. It's noticeably tougher.
So here's my question. Are there more non-residents coming into these areas that are paying to play?
Yes and no. Also, it's not even like it's the quote-unquote non-residents' fault in that regard. A lot of them come here and they establish really good relationships with farmers, and that's awesome. They also develop relationships so good that farmers will hold for said people, and that's their right, of course, but I'm seeing a lot of that, whether it's true or not. And they could be making it up, but I hear that from farmers a lot, that they're like, especially non-resident weekend, when we were scouting days before, they said they were holding it a few times.
Here's my thing, though. I know that sometimes they're holding it for people, but sometimes that field will be fed out before, especially if it snows.
Yeah.
Be fed out before somebody else gets in there.
I don't disagree, but it's just they just don't want to deal with hunters.
I get it. And there's been some guys that hunt in places that they shouldn't and leave a sour taste. And let's be honest, there's still some bad apples out there.
But it's not even that as much as just guys not picking up shells, guys rutting. It's going to rain tomorrow, or it's supposed to rain. What's that going to do to field conditions? Now, I know how dry it is. It's going to get soaked up. But I'm just saying, what if you got an inch? You don't want to be driving in those fields.
No.
And so it's not going to get any better, obviously.
It's just going to get tougher and tougher. And again, it's why a lot of guys
go to Canada
or go fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. A lot more guys are fishing these days.
Been turned down once in 15 years in Saskatchewan, and that's because there was cows in the pothole. I don't even know why we asked. I should have just kept it 100%, but boy, there mallards in that hole. Oh my goodness. And it was a dry year too, so they were in that hole.
Did you bring the cow blind?
Yeah, right? And the guy really wanted to give us permission too. He's like, what if something happened to one of those cows or spooked him or he...
The reason why I tell you the cow blind, okay, I'm going a little bit tangent here, but back when Sakakawea was just flooding, my dad said there used to be tons of mallards that would come in late,
mm-hmm.
But they would be feeding in the corn with their cows. And my dad would just go stand out behind a cow and
shoot ducks. Nice. It's a great decoy.
I mean, you gotta look, that was in the 50s. I mean, but still, natural blind.
Right.
Stand behind a cow.
Exactly. But no, I know, like we've talked about in previous shows, we know guys that lease land.
Correct.
Some guys even bought land, and they manage it, to each their own. That's awesome. But, it's just, North Dakota, of course, being the last no trespass state, is what brought a lot of people here. Now, it's not like that. Like, for example, if you're in a high pressure area and you see a feed in an unposted field, forget it. It'll be plan C or D because someone's going to be in there, or if not multiple groups, it's just the way it is.
Or it might be electronic posted.
Well, I'm assuming it is.
Yeah.
But the amount of unposted land that's not electronically posted, I mean, it's no shocker. Everyone knows. There's very little left.
Correct.
Some areas are better than others, yes, of course. But with that declining, I foresee non-resident numbers to decline as well as it gets tougher to get on land. That's why guys came here, because you had land access where they didn't have it in their home states.
Correct.
And we have a lot of birds.
Yeah.
You go up to Canada, you still see what it's like in the old days because you can get on all the land, pretty much. I've heard of stories in certain areas, but for the most part, like I said, we never get turned down in our area.
So as a Canada dummy, because I've never been up there hunting, is there stuff posted up there or is not posted?
If you see a posted sign, it's pretty rare.
Gotcha.
At least in the area I hunt. And even if it's posted, they'll still probably give you permission. Right. Sometimes it's posted. I've noticed the outfitters that run their own land.
Yeah.
But honestly, they'd probably give you permission too, because if they're not running clients, they know how it is.
Yeah.
Birds shift so fast. So, and I've had really good luck with the outfitters up there. Most of them are pretty good guys. Only one in one area gave us some issues, but we ended up moving out of the area anyways. Problem solved. But other than that, it's Canada, especially for waterfowl, is and especially now that they dropped the COVID vaccine mandate, people got to go up there. You have no excuse. Now is the time to go back up there and enjoy Prairie Canada. And I'll say it because, I mean, Saskatchewan, I've never hunted in Manitoba or Ontario or Alberta. I know they all can be really good in their own, but Saskatchewan is just an amazing place. It's very similar to North Dakota, except there's fewer roads. The fields are even bigger. Like, everything's vast. And, fun place.
And you can use e-collars up there
You can in the fall. I have a bunch of e-collars, but it's not like the spring. Yeah. Usually you just need one 4-speaker, done. They'll come to that. Bobbers and worms. Canada hunting's easy. I mean, it generally is, especially on good hatch years. So, but it is dry up there this year, so it's really condensed a lot of the ducks. In fact, I spoke to an outfitter yesterday who's a client up by the tree line. So he's north of Saskatoon away, so he's still up there. He said he's still the most birds he thinks he's ever seen this late.
Really?
Yeah, he said there's still a ton of birds up there.
Huh.
And when we got cold the other day, into the 17, 16 degrees,
they were warm.
They were up they were in the 20s.
Yeah, because it came down that Hudson Valley. You had that Hudson Red River Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're, again, things could change with the wind tomorrow.
Correct. And that's Mother Nature's time clock, not ours.
Hey, one of the biggest, actually, I can tell you, the biggest migration I ever witnessed in Canada was on a 70-degree day with south winds. No joke. They came in. We were in an area that usually has a lot of birds, and the numbers were light. And we went up to scout early, and they were pouring in, and we watched them. I mean, they poured in like you wouldn't believe in 70-degree weather. Huh. So you just don't know with Waterfall sometimes.
Sometimes the clock is ticking for them.
It's time to move.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that, let's take a break. We'll be right back here on Review Your Gear Radio. And we're back here on Review Your Gear Radio. Fall fishing can be good. Real good.
I just haven't done much of it.
Historically, hunting.
Correct.
In recent years, it's flipping a little bit. I'm not going to lie. When I talk to guys who fish at night, they're killing it. Like, I'm hearing trolling along the rocks and not only catching big walleyes, but yes, salmon too.
Yeah, they're about done though.
Yeah, I'm talking about what I've been hearing previously.
Yeah.
But as far as the big walleyes go, they're catching them right offshore.
Yeah.
And my buddy in Minnesota, same thing. They're trolling at night, long lining, shallow wraps, just like the spring.
Yeah, pounding them.
Big fish, not small fish. Big fish.
Big fish.
So
no hammers. Big fish.
Best fall techniques. I really think it is. I see it's number one on your list. It really is tough to be a jig wrap this time of year.
Correct. I mean, especially when you look at the different parts of the reservoirs and stuff like that, it just seems like on the reservoirs where those fish are concentrated, and it might be even this way on the natural lakes, is you can just target specific areas of fish with those jig wraps. Just mark them and pound on them. I mean, and it's still that reaction bite.
Right. But I'll tell you what, though, it seems like into the fall, they just seem to hit those so much more. In fact, in the spring and summer, when you're jig wrapping, a lot of yours are hooked under the mouth or in the belly.
In the panel. Yeah.
Not in the fall.
No. Most
of ours are in the mouth.
They're T-boning them. And just
so it's a different attitude to the fish. I don't use lindys much unless we're creek jubbing, of course, in the fall. But cranks, of course, I mean, it works.
But it seems like you switch back to, this is the time of the year that like the bigger baits seem to shine a little bit more because it looks like the fish are looking for that larger meal because they're trying to put on the feed bag before winter comes. And
plus the forage is, of course, getting bigger.
Correct.
So you're kind of matching the hatch in that regard. But the question is, I mean, look at today. It was 70-some degrees light. We should have been out fishing, Renner.
Yeah, dang, work gets in the way.
Man, isn't that crazy how that happens?
It's crazy how that happens.
Yeah, life
Sucks.
Let's have some headlines. So I'm going to start on a downer. A 12-year-old in Minnesota is in critical condition after his uncle, unfortunately, accidentally shot him out squirrel hunting. Prayers, of course, go out to the family. It's just such a tragic incident, but it's unfortunately a reminder that you got to know what's in the backdrop of where you're shooting. And that is not, I'm not saying that in a scolding term because this is not the time or place, but it's just a constant reminder. No matter how you're hunting, whether it's big game, upland, waterfall, just always have your shooting lanes in mind.
Know your lanes, know what's behind it.
So our prayers go out to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Congress is trying to ban the imports of mounts from parts of Africa. And while that's happening on both sides, so both parties are getting behind this, what's interesting about it is, now this comes from the Wall Street Journal on an opinion piece to talk about it. And what's interesting about it is they realize from an even as a conservation standpoint, they realize that if they do this and hunters stop going to Africa, guess what? All that money doesn't go to conservation.
Correct.
Because hunters, of course, fund a lot of the conservation efforts
over there.
So it's actually a double-edged sword. Be careful what you wish for.
But I also get that there is a serious illegal
poaching,
ivory, mounts, all that stuff flowing.
If you can ban it to the U.S., but how many other countries are there in the world that those said animals could be going to? I'm just saying. So yes. In terms of the double-edged sword, from conservation perspective, be careful what you wish for.
Correct, because a lot of dollars that hunters raise go to conservation in all countries.
And we've talked about this off and on about technology and ethics. And this article comes from a pretty interesting standpoint. Now, this guy goes in to say if you don't have expensive live imaging equipment, it may be a waste of time these days to compete in some of these tournament circuits. And in some ways, they're not wrong.
No.
Some of these guys, the way they're using their electronics, are kicking some butt. I'm not saying I'm for a ban. I'm just saying I can see where they're coming from. In fact, we've talked about this too, about trail cams. In fact, Utah and Arizona have both banned the use of trail cams for hunters. And there's 2 other states that have restrictions. So,
I mean, I can just imagine if you banned them and how that would affect guys, because guys have put that into their hunting routine now. They live and die by their cameras. I mean, I kind of get it. It takes the old school scouting out of the picture.
And what's in the future? Eventually live hunts, internet hunts. I know it's already been attempted, but the internet's just so gosh darn spotty. But as soon as the internet catches up, think about that. I mean, can you imagine someone being at a computer and digitally shooting an animal and then having it processed and shipped to them?
I just don't see. I personally
don't think for a second someone's not going to attempt it.
I know, but for me, it's just like...
No, I don't disagree.
Digital one on a video game.
I don't disagree. I'm simply saying this is the way hunting and access, with access being an issue, This just makes it another option for someone to harvest an animal they couldn't otherwise. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just simply saying.
Well, controversial.
I'm just saying. That's what I do. Anywho.
Yeah.
So I want to give a shout out to Kim Ehli, a friend of ours. She shot a huge moose. Huge. I mean, I don't know what that sucker weighed. I never did hear what it, but she did. I saw Gino and Bryce and various guys we know were helping her get it. Oh my goodness, that's one of the larger moose I've ever seen taken in this state.
Yeah, it's a big moose.
Not just from the rack, but from the body. It's just
I've seen a lot of big moose harvested this weekend. Lots of.
That's right. Vadava's got one too up there.
Those guys got one. Brandon Bauer, he does a lot of salmon fishing. He got a pretty nice bull.
Huh.
Tanner Richter shot his cow.
Okay.
So there's quite a few.
He got a cow?
He got a cow tag. He put some meat on the ground.
Oh my goodness. Tanner, we want meat.
We are having a.
But seriously, congrats, Kim. That's quite impressive. So what's cooking on the stone?
What's cooking on the stone?
I had scallops, tuna steaks, and asparagus the other night.
So, if you live underneath a rock, you know we have a serious sushi addiction.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen you pick up tuna steaks.
Yep.
And actually make them.
It's not something I usually do.
Yeah. So
I like my tuna raw.
Yeah. But how was it?
I made it about medium.
Okay.
So it had a little pink in the middle. I thought it was amazing. Lisa ate it up.
So how did you marinate it? Did you do anything like that?
Just a little olive oil, threw it on.
Yeah.
I like the taste of tuna. So I don't feel like it's just like salmon. You have really good salmon, really good halibut, really good walleye, really good anything. You don't really need to do a lot if the flavor of the fish is good. So I didn't feel it was necessary to dress it up. Next time, yeah, I'm probably going to give it a glaze, but it was pretty darn good.
Do a little miso glaze? Little teriyaki?
Probably a teriyaki type. Maybe a little spice to it and add a little red pepper flake.
Yeah, tuna. I love tuna. The other thing that I did with that was with tuna, and somebody's going to kill me for being sacrilegious for doing this, but I put Ehli sauce on it.
Yeah.
And did a light sear on it.
Okay. I'm not a huge Ehli guy. I mean, steaks, it's okay. That would be an interesting seafood twist.
Okay. It was solid with tuna. But
you must love Ehli's though.
I love Ehli's, but you cooked yours to medium. Mine was a minute on each side.
Okay.
So it was very, very rare. So still kind of a little beefy.
If I was to cook my tuna steak, if I want it the way I would have it, it would be
raw.
It'd be about 10 seconds, literally like seared. But Lisa wanted some, so I cooked it mostly. But excellent, just olive oil, and.
You brought up something that I want to try on my stone.
What's that?
Halibut.
It's good stuff.
I love grilled halibut with just like some butter, salt, pepper, and then fresh squeezed lemon juice. That's it.
You had to think about that one.
I was going to say lime juice, but it was lemon.
Yeah. No, I get it. The scallops, I do the same thing. I don't like to overcook them, obviously. I like raw scallops, so just get them just to that firm texture. Plus garlic, butter, that's it. A little salt.
I'm going to be honest. The Blackstone flat cooks seafood really, really well.
It does.
I mean, it gives it that nice, it cooks shrimp very well. I mean, God, I love shrimp on that thing.
Yep.
Just something about it. It's like I said, it's kind of inexpensive. I mean, they're $1.97 for a 36-inch today at Walmart. There's gonna be more sales like that, so now's the time of year to go pick one up. And guys, we are not sponsored by Blackstone. We just
Really like them.
really like them.
So that's what's cooking on the stone. So
Cooking on my stone.
the egg debate.
Oh boy.
We've touched on this before, but we're going to touch again. First of all, when's the last time you made homemade Hollandaise sauce?
Oh my god. Maybe 5 years ago?
It's been a while for me. And when you used it, you used store-bought eggs, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine how good it'd be with free-range eggs?
Like, it's just...
Because the yolk is just that much better.
Yeah,
it just is. It's a different color. It's
orange. It's bringing that unctuousness to the hollandaise sauce. And
I'm going to do that next because there's still some eggs floating around.
So you're going to do a little eggs Benedict?
I think so.
So, okay. All right. So how do you do your eggs Benedict?
Well, the Hollandaise sauce takes a bit. It's been a while since I've done it. I'm trying to think what all is in it again. Egg yolk and what else? Butter.
Butter.
A lot of butter. I'm trying to think. It's been so long since I made Hollandaise sauce, but it's hard to find a place that obviously has good Hollandaise sauce. Yeah. So
you do it over a double boiler. Has a little bit of paprika, salt, pepper.
I always forget about the paprika.
Got to put a little paprika, especially in the eggs. Egg yolks and paprika kind of go hand in hand. It's another thing that's a secret to my egg salad sandwiches and my potato salad. I use paprika.
Okay.
Got to put a little paprika.
You're a paprika guy.
Paprika guy. It's Ryan's there. I'm going to pick some up. I'm out.
And I have talked about this before, and I'll say it again. I mean, I've been so spoiled the last couple of years, especially this year, because we've been really leaning heavily on the free-range eggs. It's such a game changer over store-bought generic eggs. They're just not the same.
So the best eggs Benedict I've ever had was the typical eggs Benedict. So English muffin.
Yep.
Canadian bacon.
Correct.
Good egg.
Yep.
Over easy. Got to be over easy in my mind, but my wife would kill me right now. The hollandaise sauce, and then on top of the hollandaise sauce was king crab flakes.
Oh, like real king crab,
like real king crab.
Yeah, not imitation.
Oh my! That was superior, and that was at a restaurant down in Denver.
That's actually a good way to make it because how rich crab is, and of course how rich hollandaise sauce is.
Butter crab, and then get a little bit of it's I just the other way I've heard is using the main way. Set up lobster tail on there. My buddy Stinky, we got to go out sometime with him.
Stinky,
my buddy Stinky. His name's John Simons. He owns a lobster boat out in Gloucester. And I have an open invitation to go out there lobstering with him anytime.
Wow.
And man, it's one of those things where I'd love to do that and do because it's Gloucester is right by Maine and stuff. Yep. Do that in the fall, go see the colors and just bucket list. Tuna. Well, yeah, it's towards the end of tuna season, but tuna's still going. Bluefin's right. Well, Gloucester's Wicked Tuna. That's
yep.
He sees I remember those boats all the time. He sees them filming. He says the striper season out there is pretty fun too.
Okay.
Where they're catching 30, 40 pound stripers off the coast. He says that's a pretty good time. So
nice.
Yeah, he's bucket list type thing.
So I'm going to end with something important. The best sides for a Bloody Mary. Now, I know you've seen the pictures where you have a Bloody Mary and then you have so much stuff in it and around it that it's really a meal.
Correct.
So, without going that far, what is in a Bloody Mary if you order one that makes you go wow, or it just make you like that's how it should be done?
Peppered bacon.
Peppered bacon, that's a good one.
A great pickled egg.
Okay.
With a couple of great, like a pickled okra and a pickle.
Okay.
And good olives on the end.
Okay. Okra.
Okra.
That's a curveball.
I love pickled okra.
I honestly am a big fan when they add cocktail shrimp, like a big prawn or two,
yeah.
And of course you've seen seafood. You've seen lobster tails and stuff like that. I like a big celery stalk.
Of course, because, it's just that flavor.
And
rim the glass. Gotta rim the glass.
Oh, yeah.
But, so... If you're making your ultimate Bloody Mary, what would you rim your pepper?
I don't know. Honestly, I'd probably just use pepper, but salt and pepper probably.
Celery salt.
Oh, that's what we used to use at the bar. I forgot from my bartending days.
Salt on there.
You're right. I totally forgot. I don't know why I was drawing a blank. I'm like, what did I used to throw on back in the bartending days? But yeah, we rimmed it in the juice and then.
Celery salt, pepper.
Celery salt. Well, because you got to have celery salt in the bloody anyways.
Good sea salt. Like coarse sea salt. Delicious.
Amazing. What's for supper tonight? What are we eating after this? For those of you who don't know, we always record this at night, or usually.
Yeah.
So it's usually just around after dinner time. And a lot of times we skip said dinner for the podcast. So the only problem is the main sushi chef is off tonight. So can't go to sushi. Well, I'm Chris Husted.
I'm Jason Renner.
This was Review Your Gear Radio.
Thanks for tuning in to Review Your Gear Radio. Be sure to tune in next episode, and don't forget to check out reviewyourgear.com. Also, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Till next time, tight lines and good times in the outdoors.